In 1955, disappeared from American skies without a trace. No crash, no debris, no radio distress call. Flight 914 simply blinked into existence. But 37 years later, in 1992, air traffic controllers in Miami heard a voice on the radio. This is Flight 914, requesting landing clearance. The pilot sounded calm, unaware that decades had passed. When the mysterious plane landed, it stunned everyone. It was a perfectly preserved 1950s era, and every passenger believed the year was still 1955. Before investigators could make sense of it, a bright flash engulfed the runway, and the plane vanished again. Was it a time slip, a portal, a government secret? No one knows. But one thing is certain. Flight 914 remains one of America's strangest unsolved mysteries.
Nobody move! Nobody touch a thing!
A man fell under frozen water and somehow survived 38 minutes with no air. In Minnesota, USA, a snowmobiler crashed through thin ice and disappeared under the lake. Divers searched but couldn't find him. The water was dark, icy, and impossible to see through. Everyone assumed the worst. No one survives more than a few minutes without oxygen. But when they finally pulled him out, his heart had stopped. Yet his brain wasn't damaged. Doctors heated his body slowly. And after 38 minutes of no heartbeat, he suddenly gasped and came back. Scientists still can't fully explain it. Was it luck, a biological glitch, or something else protecting him under the ice? People on a California beach ran when this walked out of the ocean. Early morning, a fisherman reported a massive pale creature washing toward shore. At first, it looked like a giant seal, but it stood up on two legs. Beachgoers froze. The creature took 3 slow steps, then collapsed. Marine experts were called, but when they came, the creature was already gone, dragged back into the ocean by the waves. The only evidence left was a huge 12-foot trail on the sand, in a blurry video that scientists still can't explain. Some say it was a sick whale. Some say it was a deep-sea creature never seen before. But the question remains, what walked out of the water that morning?
Late-night drivers in rural Tennessee keep reporting the same impossible sight. A tall, shadowy figure, appearing suddenly behind their moving car. Not running, not walking, just standing, yet somehow keeping up. 911 operators say callers describe it the exact same way every time. A dark figure with no face, flickering in and out of the headlights. Never falling behind, dash cams show a silhouette gliding across empty roads, disappearing the moment a car stops. Local police searched the area for weeks, but nothing was ever found. Some say it's a hallucination from long drives. Others think it's something older than the road itself. But one thing is certain. If you're ever driving alone on a Tennessee highway at night, don't look in your rearview mirror for too long.
Deep in the Alaskan wilderness, there's a ranger cabin that hasn't been used in over 40 years. No electricity, no radio, no phone line. But every night, the old landline phone inside it begins to ring. Rangers say when they answer it, a calm male voice always says the same thing. Don't come here tonight. One ranger reported hearing the voice on his radio miles away, warning him before he even reached the cabin. When he arrived, the phone was ringing off the hook. Even though the lines were physically cut decades ago, inside the cabin there were no footprints, no recent activity. Just the phone, and something breathing quietly on the other end. To this day, the cabin is considered off-limits at night, and no one knows who or what is making the calls. There's a stretch of road in Nevada known as the Extraterrestrial Highway, and drivers keep reporting the same terrifying mystery. A small, child-sized handprint appears on the outside of their moving car. Not inside, outside, pressed against the window while they're driving at over 60 miles an hour. One driver said he heard a soft tapping sound, looked over, and saw a tiny frozen handprint forming on the glass. When state troopers arrived, they found the same handprint, ice cold, on a car that had been sitting in the warm desert air for over 20 minutes. There were no footprints nearby, no children, no one for miles. Some say it's the spirit of a lost child from an old desert accident. Others believe it's something much older, tied to the strange lights often seen in the Nevada sky. Whatever it is, the handprint always appears the same way. Small, cold, and impossibly real. In 2014, a man in Dayton, Ohio received a phone call from his own number. At 3:12 a.m. he answered and heard his own voice. Older, panicked. It said just one thing. Don't take the highway tomorrow, please. Then the line died. He checked the call history, and it showed the call as outgoing, not incoming. The next day, a 7-car pileup hit the exact highway he uses at 3:12 p.m. Nobody knows who called him or how his phone called itself. Welcome to American Mystery Files.
Deep in the Cherokee National Forest in Tennessee, hikers found something impossible. A staircase, perfectly clean, standing alone in the woods, not attached to anything. When one hiker stepped on it, the entire forest went silent. No birds, no insects, nothing. At the top step, they heard a whisper behind them. Don't look back. When they turned around, no one was there. And the next day, the staircase was gone. No tracks, no signs, nothing. Some locals call it the staircase you should never climb.
What would you do if both engines failed at 35,000 feet over the middle of the Atlantic Ocean? This is not a movie scene. This actually happened August 24th, 2001. Air Transat Flight 236 was cruising from Toronto to Lisbon when a hidden fuel leak drained the aircraft dry. No engines, no power, 293 people. One airplane turning into a 200-ton glider. For 20 minutes, they silently descended over open ocean. Then, through the clouds, a tiny island appeared. And what happened next became one of the greatest saves in aviation history. If you're watching this at night, turn your volume up, because what happened on that mountain still doesn't make sense. Minus 30 degrees, 2:07 a.m., a single torn tent buried in snow. Inside, one climber, no signal, no rescue, no way down. The wind was screaming. The canvas was ripping apart, snow flooding in. Every breath burned his lungs. Every second felt like death getting closer. When rescuers reached the tent at sunrise, they expected to find a body, but what they actually found still isn't fully explained. On March 8, 2014, Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 vanished with 239 people on board, leaving the world in shock and sparking one of the greatest aviation mysteries of our time. The flight took off normally, but somewhere over the South China Sea, all contact with the plane was lost. Despite extensive radar tracking, MH370 simply vanished. What followed was the most expensive and extensive search operation in aviation history, spanning thousands of miles of ocean, yet no definitive trace of the aircraft was found. Without concrete evidence, theories began to emerge. Could it have been mechanical failure, a hijacking, or something more sinister? The lack of answers fueled global speculation.
For the families left behind, the uncertainty has been unbearable. Every day, the search for answers continues, but closure remains elusive.
Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 remains a haunting mystery. Even after years of investigation, the truth about what happened that day is still unknown. The quest for answers continues.
In 2025,
a Nevada park ranger made a discovery that shook investigators to their core. A small pile of white dust that turned out to be human ashes. But this was just the beginning. When detectives searched the area, they found over 300 piles of cremated human remains scattered across the Las Vegas desert. No funeral home reported them, no family claimed them, and no legal permits exist for any cremation involved. Forensic labs confirmed every pile was real people. But who were they, and who dumped their remains in one of America's most visited deserts? To this day, there are no names, no paperwork, and no explanation for why hundreds of human ashes were left in the desert. Was this illegal dumping, a hidden crematorium, or something far darker. This mystery remains one of the most disturbing, unsolved cases of 2025.
Missing for 40 days. Rescue teams search non-stop. Helicopters, ATVs, volunteers. Not a single footprint. Not a single campfire. Nothing. Everyone assumed the worst. Until he suddenly walked out of a canyon, alive. Doctors were shocked. He had no signs of severe dehydration. No organ damage. No frostbite. And no explanation for how he survived with no water, no food, and no shelter in desert temperatures. When they asked him what happened, he said something strange. I slept most of the time, and someone kept waking me up by touching my shoulder. But rescuers found no tracks, no shelters, no other person, and no evidence anyone else was there. To this day, his survival remains one of Utah's most unexplained mysteries.
And someone touched my shoulder when I woke.
In 1914, Sir Ernest Shackleton set out to conquer Antarctica. But Antarctica had other plans. His ship Endurance became trapped in ice. Crushed, destroyed, swallowed by the frozen ocean. Months into over 500 days of hunger, cold, and darkness. But Shackleton made one promise. We will all come home. Against impossible odds, he led his men across drifting ice, through violent seas, and over unmapped frozen mountains. When the world believed they were already dead, Shackleton returned. Not a single life was lost. This is not just a survival story. This is proof that leadership, courage, and the human spirit can defeat even death itself. Deep inside the forests of Vermont, there is a place locals refuse to enter alone. They call it the Bennington Triangle, a region where people vanish without leaving a single trace. In 1946, an 18-year-old student named Paula Weldon walked this very trail. Witnesses saw her disappear around a bend. Search teams followed her path until it simply stopped. No footprints, no body, nothing. 3 years later, a man named James Tedford boarded a bus through the same area. When the bus arrived, his seat was empty. Then came Mitty Rivers, an experienced guide who knew these woods. He stepped away for a moment and was never seen again. Different people, different years, same forest, same silence. It was in nature, an accident, or something far more disturbing. The Bennington Triangle still hasn't given up its secrets. What do you think happened? Subscribe for more American mysteries.
In the late 1500s, along America's eastern coast, an entire colony vanished. In 1587, English settlers arrived on Roanoke Island, hoping to build a new future in the New World. Men, women, and children built homes here, surrounded by ocean on one side and unknown wilderness on the other. Their leader, John White, left the colony to gather supplies, promising to return soon. But war delayed his return for 3 long years. When he finally came back, the colony was empty. No bodies, no signs of struggle, just one word carved into wood: Croatoan. Did the settlers relocate? Were they attacked? Or did something erase them completely? Roanoke remains America's first unsolved disappearance.
Between 2019 and 2021, strange, earth-shaking booms were reported across 9 U.S. states: North Carolina, Alabama, Georgia, Indiana, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Florida, all shaken by a mystery no one could explain. Homes shook violently, windows rattled, alarms blared, pets panicked. Families were terrified, caught completely off guard by loud, unexplained sounds echoing for miles. Dogs barked frantically, cats hissed and darted across rooms. Alarms screamed in unison. The booms were felt inside homes, yet no one knew the source. Videos from social media showed bright blue flashes streaking across the sky, windows trembling, and chaos unfolding in multiple states at the same time. People searched for answers, but found none. Even experts were baffled. The U.S. Geological Survey and the Air Force confirmed. No earthquakes, no sonic booms, no military tests. Nothing could explain what people were hearing. Was it an atmospheric tear? Space debris exploding in the sky? Secret experimental technology? Or something entirely beyond human understanding? The truth remains a mystery, hidden in the sky above. The booms have stopped for now, but the question remains, what really caused the screaming sky across 9 states? And perhaps, one day, we'll finally know the truth.
Colorado's Rocky Mountain National Park is beautiful by day, but at night, it becomes one of the strangest places in America. A solo camper said he woke up at 3:12 a.m. when his phone started ringing, even though he had 0 service. The caller ID said unknown. When he answered, the voice on the line was himself. At sunrise, rangers searched the area. No tracks, no animals, nothing. And his phone? No record of any call. No signal logs, nothing. He still believes he heard a warning from his future self.
Welcome in.
Thanks.
Let me know if you need anything. That's weird. What? What the? No. No, that's not me. Stay back, all right? Just stay there.
You can't walk away from yourself.
Oh, God.
Hey! Hey, please, you have to help me!
Whoa, sir, what's going on?
Look at the screen. That's me. He's just standing there.
What do you mean that's you?
I don't know, I was in the aisle and then he...
That's him. He was talking to somebody, said he was arguing.
Somebody who's not there.
Feeds never show another person.
But I saw 2 sets of prints outside.
So did I.
I was halfway up the trail when I saw him. It was me. Same jacket, same pack. Just standing there. And then he turned and walked into the trees. I've hiked that stretch for years. Whatever I saw...
A rideshare driver in Austin, Texas picked up a woman late at night. She looked normal, spoke softly, and even appeared in the rearview mirror. She gave directions to her home, but never made eye contact, just stared out the window the entire ride. When they reached her destination, the driver turned around to tell her they'd arrived.
We're here.
But the back seat was completely empty. The dash cam showed the door never opened. And in one frame of the footage, she vanishes without any movement at all. The driver later learned that a woman died in a car crash on that same route 18 years ago. Multiple drivers have reported picking up a passenger who never makes it to the end of the ride. So if you're ever taking a late-night trip through Austin, check your rearview mirror carefully.
Deep in the Alaskan wilderness, there's a ranger cabin that hasn't been used in over 40 years. No electricity, no radio, no phone line. But every night, the old landline phone inside it begins to ring. Rangers say when they answer it, a calm male voice always says the same thing. Don't come here tonight. One ranger reported hearing the voice on his radio miles away, warning him before he even reached the cabin. When he arrived, the phone was ringing off the hook. Even though the lines were physically cut decades ago, inside the cabin there were no footprints, no recent activity. Just the phone, and something breathing quietly on the other end. To this day, the cabin is considered off-limits at night, and no one knows who or what else is making the calls.
In 1955, a passenger plane with 57